My name is Yegor Kozlov, and I'd like to present Content Sync. It's a recent contribution to the ACS Commons family. As the name states, Content Sync is a tool to synchronize content between AEM environments. Why do you need it? Why not to use good old package manager? Well, package manager is great, but there are certain nuances, let's say, of using it in managed and production environments. First of all, package manager requires escalated access. No matter what you are synchronizing, just a page or the entire content tree, it's always a task for administrator to prepare the archive and give it to you. It's not for regular authoring personnel. Then, package manager is not meant for incremental updates. If you have local changes, they will be overridden. Of course, you can fiddle with package filters. You can save your changes and restore them from your private backup, but package manager is not for incremental updates. And finally, it's not obvious, but package manager resets version history. If you have a history of revisions for a page and this revision history is important, then using packages is not a good idea because all your versions will be gone after installation of a package. So here comes ACS Commons Content Sync. It's fully cloud compatible. It doesn't depend on package manager API at all. It just requires basic connection to an AEM instance. It can be a cloud instance or just IP and port. It can synchronize any authourable content, we will talk later, and it supports incremental updates. So let's talk in detail. The main idea behind this tool was to implement JSON round trip between Slink, Get, and Post servlets. So the tool initially makes a call to the source instance and fetches the catalog of resources, which is, in the simple form, is a list of paths and their modification timestamps, like page 1 and its modification timestamp, etc. And then the tool compares these catalog with the local state, computes the delta, and for each item in the delta, it synchronizes it via JSON export and import. Something like this. The idea is not new. If you append infinity.json to a URL, Slink will output the JCR content tree in a JSON format. But on the other hand, Slink Post servlet can import from this JSON, in theory. But in practice, if you feed raw input from page.infinity.json to Slink Post, it most likely will not work because the JSON needs to be sanitized and protected properties need to be removed. If a page contains binary data, it's going to be lost, so it needs to be taken specially. There are other aspects. And the Content Sync tool tries to solve all this for you in an automated manner. So, okay, there is a tool. What can you sync? Basically, any authourable content, like pages, assets, experience and content fragments, tags, anything. You can even synchronize templates and CF models, any structures under /conf. Okay, so the tool does JSON round trip, and for each item, it makes an HTTP call, fetches JSON. So how many calls does it make in general? So the ballpark estimation is big O of n, where n is the number of resources to sync. So if you have a tree of n CQ page objects, then the tool will make roughly n HTTP calls to fetch each page as a JSON and import it using content importer API. So now it's time for a quick demo. So to use Content Sync, you need to install the latest version of ACS Commons on the source and on the target instance. And then you just go to the ACS Commons menu, select Content Sync. The first thing you need to do is to configure the connection. And if you go to configure, you can configure multiple connections and synchronize different content trees from different sources. It can be a connection to a 6.5 running in managed services. It can be a connection, to a cloud instance, or it can be direct connection to AM instance on IP and port. So once you have the connection, all you need to do is just to select the content tree to synchronize and run submit. The default mode is incremental, which means only modified and new resources will be copied. And the tool prints, let me enlarge. The tool prints basic information, who modified the resource on the remote instance and when, and who modified it on the local instance. So you can see that on the remote instance, I have 400-something resources, but only 6 were modified. There is dry run option. There is an option to hook a user workflow in the end. So it gives you an opportunity to run user code on completion. So for every item being synchronized, the tool will start the workflow. And for example, you can reset replication status or re-replicate resources if they are replicated on the source instance. Okay. And the last thing, the default strategy, how to select incremental data, is based on CQ last modified and JCR last modified timestamp. But the strategy is pluggable. So if you need something fancier, like compare pages or assets based on a checksum, you can plug in your implementation. It's a service. And then the tool allows you to configure it in the configuration. And this is basically it. Grab the latest version of ACS Commons 6.2, try it out, and it will save a lot of your time. Thank you.